All right, this is going to be another doozy. The Spector basses. I'm just going to get right into it. In the Ibanez video, I mentioned that back in the early 80s, I traded a Rickenbacker for an Ibanez Roadstar 2 because I thought the Roadstar 2 actually looked like the Spector bass that Sting was playing at the time. That white bass. I think it had black hardware. So I guess I've always liked the looks of Spectors. Not long after that, there was a guy in a local music store, Mike Pincus, down in Rockland County, and Guitar Works was the store. It wasn't my normal store, Alto, but this guy had a nice shop, and he had some Spectors in, and he insisted that I take one to use for a rehearsal, because he was sure that once I heard it and played it that I'd buy it. I went and did use it, and I didn't like it at all. It was just all brittle sounding and boomy, and just was way too loud. And I never really touched another Spector after that. And it was years later that I realized I had never played an active bass before, or a bass with active electronics. And that's what it was. I just brought it in and cranked everything up, full blast. So I'm assuming that was the issue I had with that. It was many years later that two guys that I have a great amount of respect for suggested Spector basses, and they were both recording engineers. My friend Eric from the band Crisis, who he used to record some bands on the side, and one day he told me, he goes, I recorded this group, and this guy had this Spector bass, man, and he said, I couldn't do anything, said it was the best bass he'd ever recorded, just sat in the mix, great. And years later, a friend I worked with, Ed Solon, who used to own a really big studio down in the Bronx. He's a guy I talk about once in a while. He was involved with Kiss in the very, very early days. And he said in his studio, they always had a Spector bass as the house bass. And if anytime anyone was struggling to get a sound, he'd give them the Spector, and 9 times out of 10 he'd said they'd wind up using it for the rest of the recording. So, those suggestions were always in the back of my head, so I figured I'd try one, and I did. And as I was jotting notes down for this, I realized that almost every Spector here, that I'd done a lot of modifications to them. Some very small, others pretty major. So there's a lot of mods happening. This is the first one I got. It's an NS2A. I don't know the whole history of Spector, but they were sold to Kramer, and then Kramer started making them. I don't know. They made them in Jersey for a while, and then they started making them in Korea. So it's Korean-made NS2A, they call it, and it has EMG pickups, and it came with Spector branded pickups, and this what they call a K-Has preamp. And what I really like about the preamps is that the treble, it's just bass and treble, neck volume, whatever. I can't get into the gory details. But the treble control is more like a high mid-range control. And it's almost a frequency I go after when I'm using a parametric EQ. Just gives that kind of snarl. So I usually start with stuff flat, then I'll bump the bass up just a bit, and then add the treble to taste. I'm using my Sansamp YYZ pedal. It's not my favorite Sansamp pedal, but it sounds really good on my Legend, so I'm not playing with it. I'm just using the settings I have for that one bass, and not tailoring it to any other bass. I'll just raise or lower the volume. Anyway, this great bass. Love it. It's in great shape. This is back when you could get one of these for like $600 or $700. This was back in 2016 or 17. They've, gone up. I actually switched out the Spector branded pickups and put in these passive EMGs, and I actually think I preferred the Spector branded pickups a little better. The bass definitely has a little less output now, but it's not bad. It's still a good bass. So, I like the Spectors so much that I saw one of these for sale. It's a Legend, bolt-on, and I said, well, how big of a difference could there be? Let's see. I figured I'd get it as a backup since I like the NS2A. When I got it, I didn't really like the way it sounded at all. It was kind of sterile sounding. Didn't really have any of the burp. I think it just had an EMG preamp in it. I ordered some new pickups, and I found a Mighty Mite clone. It's a Mighty Mite, a has preamp clone that was made by Mighty Mite, I guess. I don't know, back in the 80s and 90s. I got it for like $60 on Talk Bass. So I brought the bass to Joe. He put the pickups in and put the preamp in, and it's wound up being my favorite. I don't know, there's just something I like about it. Well, again, I got really lucky with this modification, and I think it led me to try other stuff that didn't work out quite as well. I'm not a big mod guy because I think like 50% of the time they work out well. The other half of the time, maybe you didn't gain any ground on them, and sometimes it makes things worse. But this was when I had the wall and got rid of the wall. This was the bass that I said that I would step over the wall to play. I just enjoy playing this. I think it translates my playing well. Well, obviously not that well. For what I'm doing, it's great. If it's a little too loud for my play-alongs, it doesn't sound bad. If it's a little too low, you can still hear it. It just blends in nicely. All right, next bass. That's not doing anything. Wow. It's a lot brighter. why did I get this one? I don't know. Again, I was really liking the Spectors, and I just wanted to have a backup. Nice kind of teal green, very nice shape. It's a NS2A, another Korean-made Spector. And it sounds a little bit brighter, a little hotter than the black one, but that's that one. This was the next one I got. This is it's an NS4H, so it's a Woodstock made bass. It's a bolt-on. And given the choice, I'll always go for a bolt-on over a neck through. I don't think it makes that much difference in the sound of the bass, and it always gives you an escape hatch. God forbid something, if you broke the headstock or if the neck twisted, you can, a lot cheaper just to get a new neck put on. Anyway, I was to the point where I really was kind of honing in on the Spectors. That I like those a lot. And I was thinking about having a bass made. And back then, these were, I think they were going for like $3,600, starting around there, or in that area, to have one built. But I was like, man, I just have this thing about, what I think is a, good price to pay for a bass. I couldn't see spending, $4,000 to $6,000. I've done it, but it doesn't sit well with me. So I got this one really reasonable off a Reverb, and the guy lived close enough. I was able to go down to Jersey and check it out. I bought it. I said that even despite the unusual pickup configuration, I could kind of turn it into, my dream bass. So originally it had just a like a humbucker here, and this is a Music Man kind of multi-function pickup. It can function as a Music Man pickup or just a jazz bass pickup. And what do I have in here? I have in here I have a Baz clone, B-A-Z. This guy, Vadim, makes them in Russia, and it's a really nice, has clone preamp. There's another guy, Sheldon, I don't want to say Sheldon, from SNC, who makes a nice preamp as well. Anyway, I got this. The neck's a little chunkier than I'm used to, but I'm fine with it. It doesn't have the Spector. It has a hip shot bridge on it. That's how they come. I had the hardware swapped out to gold. Well, that's a loud one What else? Kind of a different sounding bass. Here's the that's in the Music Man mode. This is just the single coil jazz bass. Seems to be picking up a lot more of the overdrive than the other basses are. What else? Yeah, when it came, it had an OBP an Aguilar OBP 3 preamp, which was really, kind of overwhelming. Any change you made on it would just send your gain through the roof. So I had that has clone put in, and basically I started using this it's set up to be tuned down a half step. So it's an open D. So it's basically just using it to play ghost covers. But no modifications to set. I just put slightly heavier strings on it, and Joe set it up for the drop D tuning. Cool bass. Alright, again, I was still looking, for like my dream bass. I was happy with, the other Spectors I had, but I was like, man, I just want something special. This is a Spector Euro that I got a few years back, that I got at a local music store, and they were retailing for like, I forget, $2,600. The guy at the shop gave me a great price on it. I'll be selling it for certainly less than what I paid for it, and I got a great price on it. They only made 8 of these to be sold in the U.S., and I guess what it is it's a 35-inch scale. It has an ebony fretboard, and it's poplar burl with a ultra amber finish. So I guess all those things make it it was a limited edition, 1 of 8. They only made 8. This also came with Aguilar pickups in it, and an OBP2 preamp. And I changed this out to this is like a Spector, their EMG's precision pickup in a soap bar housing, and it's a reverse P style. I think that's a huge part of the Spector sound, is the reverse P configuration, where the bass coils are closer to the bridge, and the treble side is closer to the neck. And this is just a single jazz bass pickup in a soap bar housing. So what I was trying to do was get the sound I was getting out of the NS2As, that classic PJ, sound, out of this bass that had humbuckers. Now I think the spacing kind of makes it fall a little short of that. And actually, this pickup I did a reverse J, so I had them put the single coil housing up in the front of the pickup. Normally it's in the back, just to move it a little closer to the neck pickup. And this has an SNC has clone preamp. I should have written the guys. I know his first name's Sheldon. Real nice guy. Both of the guys I got these preamps from are really cool. Again, these I don't use a lot of distortion, but this kind of the YYZ pedal almost forces you to use more than you would. But these last 2 basses really seem to be picking up on it more than the other one. Well, that's that. It was a cool experiment, but didn't turn out exactly the way I wanted it to. I almost forgot about this one. Oh. After I got the other Legend, I was like, well, I'd really like to have a backup for that one. So I got this off of Sweetwater. And it was made in Indonesia. And so I never, when I got it, I realized it doesn't have the reverse P pickups in it, just a standard configuration. So it really didn't wasn't sounding the way I really hoped it would. Now, what I have in here is a real K-Has preamp, which is the preamp that comes in the NS2As, and I've had EMG pickups put into it. It was at this time that I discovered that when I ordered the pickups for the first Legend, they sent me pickups with Alnico magnets. Because this bass basically has the same same preamp. Doesn't matter. Anyway, what I found, what makes the other Legend special is I think the Alnico magnets kind of have a little bit of a different sound than the standard ceramic magnets that come in EMG's standard. So that was something I learned. But it's a cool bass, not bad. I really don't play it much. Probably one I'll be selling. And I would definitely let it go cheap. It's not worth having Joe take the preamp out and put it back to normal. So I'd probably sell it cheap. And I don't want to use my channel as a venue to sell any of the basses, but I am going to be selling a lot of them. And if anyone is interested in anyone specific, they can just ask about it. And I sell cheap, believe me. All right, this might be the last bass. All right. This is a Spector Pulse. And again, I was just looking for something to bridge the quality gap, what I perceive to be the quality gap between the Legend, which was, I think I paid $400 for the bass, you know, and then, you know, put a little work into it, and it's really one of my favorite basses. So, you know, I was like, well, you know, hey, I think I did a video just on this bass. I'm not sure if I put it on my channel or somewhere else, but this is a Korean made. Do this, I don't know, the sandblasted finish on the thing. The neck is really nice, roasted maple. And oh, this was the bass where I discovered I had a Mighty Mite preamp put in, and it came with EMGs in it. And I was like, man, it really doesn't sound like my other Legend. So I, you know, went on the Spector Facebook group and asked the question, what could it be? And both of my preamp guys, Sheldon from SNC and Vadim from Baz, both had some great insights. And what the big thing was the ceramic pickups versus the Alnico magnets. Now this bass sounds much closer to my other Legend than any of the other basses. But yeah, I really like the sound of this bass, and you know, the modifications I did to it didn't cost that much. Again, if I've got another. This is an actual Spector has preamp, and this thing was this is like $500. But I'll eventually get around to putting it in something. And even these clones are going up in price. So if you ever see one for sale, you better be quick, because I tend to buy them up. But I think I'm about done with the messing around with that stuff. But Joe could probably, you have to do a little bit of route a little wood out of the control cavity here to get the preamps to fit. But Joe's done so many of them for me, he can probably do them in his sleep. Anyway, that's it. It was fairly painful.